¿A dónde está papi? 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 ¿A dónde está papi?
Welcome, welcome to the Wednesday stream. I hope everyone's having an awesome Wednesday. Johnny Scarlet rating, kicking things off with a party of 21. Thank you so much. Welcome, everybody. Folks, if you have never seen me before, I'm a Difficult Truth. I do the news, I do the politics Monday through Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Johnny Scarlet coming in right at the start. Thank you so much and welcome. Thank you. If you haven't already, please consider going to twitch.tv/Johnny Scarlet and go check them out. Let me see if I can do this right quick. Oh, actually, I can just use the shout-out command. Have a great stream. Thank you so much. Cosmic Seekin, how's it going? Welcome, everybody. Let's see if I can do this really quickly. There we go. Consider going to twitch.tv/Johnny Scarlet. Just get this out of the way. Whew. Sorry about yesterday's stream, folks. I was not really feeling that well. I'm still feeling a tad bit under the weather, but good enough. Good enough. All right. I guess we should start kicking things off, yeah? Let's start doing some headlines. Well, kicking things off, maybe we should start here. Because, of course, this makes absolute perfect sense. Republicans are allowing folks to smoke in their own offices. Man. Truly at the top of the list of priorities, really. Very, 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 very important, apparently. Yeah, might as well embrace the stereotype, I guess. There's a lot of history repeating itself in Congress. In this year, the House is in GOP hands. Democrats control the White House and Senate, and there's an inescapable stench of tobacco smoke in the Capitol's hallways. The smoke evokes memories of old guard of Republican House leadership. Former House Speaker John Boehner? I don't know, whatever. Smoked so many cigarettes that new carpets, a fresh coat of paint, and an ozone machine were required when Paul Ryan took over his office. Jesus Christ. Anyways, this one's probably gonna be just a little quick a quick headline. I mean, really, just kind of to illustrate the priorities here. Also, folks, before we get started, if you guys enjoy the content and you guys want to support the channel, head on over to the YouTubes. Alio, how's it going? It's Baynor, but Boner for extra points. True. True.
Please clap.
How's it going, Heat? I just thought this was a good meme. Good folding laundry. Nice. I'm doing a bit better. I'm doing good enough. I'm doing good enough. I like when I woke up today, I was like, "Oh no. I'm not sure how I'm going to get it together before 5 p.m., but here we are. Hopefully we get started on fixing the power chair. Yeah, hopefully. Hopefully that goes well for you, friend. Those things are not cheap. Trooper. True. Well, I didn't want to miss another day of stream. Besides, where else are you guys going to go for the news, right? Anyways, good memes. The Republican Party really showing us where the priorities are by making smoking okay again in the House, in each other's offices. Nice, cool, good memes. But seriously, on to more important news. Some stuff that should be on the radar of people, because this will not stop. I will say right off the bat, the Democrats do control the Senate, so the chances of this really, gaining any kind of steam other than in the House is unlikely. But they're still going to try. Republican-controlled House pushes for new abortion restrictions, and just like this is also a kind of reminder of what happens when Republicans win elections. Santos and Diamond are Trump tweeting again. I heard Diamond passed away. Diamond, like from Diamond and Silk. Yeah, I heard she passed away, so I'm not sure. And Trump tweeting? No, I think, doesn't he use Truth Social or whatnot? The Republican-led House pressed ahead on Wednesday. Today. Yes, an anti-vax, gotcha. Yeah, we still don't know what she passed away from. At least not officially. Unless, if it ends up being that she passed away because of COVID, that's just wild. But I'm sure that we'll find out. Michael Hesser, Herman Cain, Diamond, he's losing his best people. Yeah. The best. Republican priorities. Make sure women are definitely second-class citizens. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Republicans don't consider women people, really. They're not sending their best. Yeah, conservatives don't really consider women people. Anywho, the Republican-led House pressed ahead today with a pair of proposals that would impose new limits on abortion, despite warning signs that the issue had galvanized the opposition and dashed their hopes of a thundering victory in last year's midterm. I mean, like, do they not? Okay. The bills, which are not expected to advance in the Democratic-controlled Senate, are among the first moves made by Republicans' new narrow House majority and intended to underscore their legislative priorities ahead of the 2024 election. I mean, like, the only silver lining I can see is... The only silver lining is that this, hopefully continues to galvanize, Democrats, and this actually ends up really hurt. Like, this continuation ends up hurting the Republicans in 2024 for the presidential election, depending on who ends up being the nominee. Because if it's like a Donald Trump nominee, I don't really see them winning regardless. We'll see. One Republican abortion measure under consideration would condemn attacks on pregnancy crisis centers, while the second would compel medical providers to care for an infant who survives an attempted abortion, an occurrence that is exceedingly rare. Right, like, they're making it seem as if they're, like, literally killing babies. No, man, that's not how this works. I am proud that Republicans are following through on the promise that we made to the American people. What? The majority leader, Steve Scalise, the second highest ranking House Republican and a staunch anti-abortion advocate, told reporters this week, all life is sacred, except, like, that's the thing. That's my favorite part of that. All life is sacred. Well, then wouldn't, the woman's, the pregnant person's life sacred? But they don't consider them people. That's the thing. The one thing I'd say, and it's also like such God, it's such a cowardly thing, right? To say, to feel so righteous in saying something that you have no connection to. Republicans may be evil and moralistic, but I think whoever is above that, they're stupid. Wait, what? Republicans may be evil and moralistic, but think whoever is above that. I'm not sure. You're going to have to reword that. I'm sorry. James Napper, one thing I'd say may unfortunately be in the Republican favor here is that I don't think the galvanizing effect of Democrats is long lasting. I'm not entirely sure that it will ripple into 2024, let alone beyond. Its voters have short memories. Maybe, but if they keep doing this and they keep hammering this, they're just going to keep reminding the Democratic base if they continue down this path. Right, all life is sacred unless you're brown, a woman, poor, or gay, or any minority of any kind. Yes, that is true. But thank whoever's above that they're stupid. True. At least the base. Yeah, at least the base. Because, I mean, it unironically requires you to essentially discard any sense of critical thinking or any remotely logical thought process. You need to discard that in order for you to be unironically a conservative. That's just the way it is. You just have to leave any sense of logic, any sense of rationality, any sense of common sense to really be unironically conservative. Or you need a shield for your bigotry. If the GOP House wants only MAGA, let's see how the next round is. Well, That's a good question, Bipedal. I was raised conservative, for example. Oh, yeah, but, you decided that you started to ask questions and then it kind of falls apart really quickly, doesn't it? Once you start to ask a couple of questions here and a couple of questions there, you start to realize, wait a second, hold on. This is a load of bullshit. Yes, the next voting round, what, for rules or whatnot? Oh, for bills. Yeah. Right, they don't like questions. They claim to be about, like, free speech and the free marketplace of ideas. But they're not actually, because once you actually start to engage with the ideology, it very quickly becomes incredibly incoherent. Obviously, it's hard to get a feel for things on the ground when I don't live in the U.S., but I do distinctly remember when the initial ruling of the Supreme Court was released, there was a wave of strong emotions. Immediately became the salient issue of the American politics, but it seemed to have calmed down a little bit, largely, I guess, because the states that mostly favorites still have it, and the ones that don't are the ones that are a little gray. Yeah, but it did have an impact going into the midterms. And like my point was that if they keep doing this, then yeah, it's gonna be shooting themselves in the foot. Religion teaches you not to question what you're told. True, you're supposed to, have faith at work. That God works in mysterious ways, Conservatives only like their symbols and slogans and their point of view. Right. It's just funny how, like, they hide behind this idea of free speech and whatnot, but they really don't care about any of that. Welcome, sir, who has been banned in quite amount of channels. What would a kingdom with multiple leaders be? Asking for a story. I'm doing. Yeah, sure you are. What would a kingdom with multiple leaders be? I don't know. You can make it whatever you want. It's your story. I'm proud that Republicans are following through on the promise that we made to the American people. All life is sacred and must be protected. Cool. So I'm assuming that you're going to immediately put forth legislation that will assist in alleviating child poverty. All life is sacred, right? What about legislation that will lift minority communities? What about, hey, all life is sacred. How about deploying some type of universal healthcare system? All life is sacred, is it not? This is bullshit, folks. This is bullshit and made to elicit a response. That's it. Anti-abortion groups have long pushed the so-called Born Alive legislation, similar to the version under consideration in the House, which would carry a prison sentence for up to 5 years for medical workers. Jesus. Critics, including medical professionals, say such measures are based on distortions and misinformation about what is often an extremely painful and unwanted decision to end the pregnancy. Abortions after the point of viability, which is defined as about 23 weeks, are extremely uncommon, according to federal and state data. In the rare instances that they do happen, they often involve serious fetal abnormalities or risk to the life of the mother. Right, because, like, let's be honest, chances are that if you're at that point, most likely you do want to keep it, and something must go horribly wrong for this situation to find yourself in this situation. Dems actually care about people and applying those beliefs and principles to everyone. Well, the thing is, I think that may be the case with some Dems. I'm just not feeling the fight. I'm just not feeling the fight from them. It absolutely impacted the midterms, but I don't know if the Democrats can rely on it next year. Well, it's not the sole thing that they can rely on, but I mean, yeah. The good thing for them is that the election should likely come at a time when the economy is on the way up. Plus, the Republicans seem a little fragmented. You'd think some kind of rupture may happen soon. One can only hope. The best case scenario is exactly this. James Napper is exactly this: a fragmented Republican Party that is unable to really get it together. That's probably one of the better outcomes. The good news is that the Senate will never let it become law. Right. Yeah, that's exactly what I was saying, Cosmic. The one thing is like that I prefaced this is, wow. The one thing that I prefaced with is that the Senate will most likely not pass this at all. Let me now that I've kind of gone off on that tangent, let me do an illustration in real time of what I'm talking about with conservatives. There will be no indoctrination or grooming going on while I'm on watch. Of course, and then the shirt that he's wearing, it says, "Just a dad trying not to raise a liberal," which is hilarious. Lamau, at the fact that this guy is talking about indoctrination, ideological indoctrination, while he's literally doing that, it just goes right over their head. Unless they actually believe that the only right ideology is theirs and screw everybody else's, which is very telling. You should show love to all humans, even those who oppress you, since you're saying that everyone has a blanket term. What are you talking about? Hey, listen, buddy, you have quite the rap sheet already. So if your purpose is to come in here and troll, guaranteed you're gonna have a bad time. Okay? I'm just saying, you've been warned. If you're gonna come here and think that you're gonna troll, you're gonna have a bad time. True. Show some love and stop attacking chat. True. Who says I'm a troll? I said, are your ears cleaned? Can you hear me okay? Do you understand, like, the words? It's, I said, if you are a troll, if you are planning to come here to troll, you are going to have a bad time. If you are not trolling, you're gonna have a great time. Especially if Republicans believe their own pundits. True. Graylio, how's it going? Alright. Anyways, so this is exactly the kind of stuff that I'm talking about, right? Where the idea just goes right over their head unless... the only way this makes sense is if you understand that this is a fundamentally undemocratic ideology where the only acceptable thought process is theirs. Right? Because, I mean, this is the only way this makes sense. This is the only way that this makes sense. Having a manic episode, but just got meds changed today. Well, hope that works, Kraylio. I know sometimes that can be... Whew, that can be a roller coaster. And my credit score just went over 750. Holy sheesh. That is borderline God credit. That is on the cusp of just absolute God credit. You can get a house with that. Yeah, they keep offering you limit increases. I bet. That's pretty good. The credit card's shiny? Well, now they can be. Now they can be. Didn't need the extra? Good. If you don't listen, don't be like me, all right? Listen, I get myself into trouble if I start, opening too much credit cards. Anywho. Continuing on with this article, moreover, opponents say newborns are already protected by a bipartisan law passed in 2002, which established full legal rights for infants born at any stage of development. Well, yeah, because if they're born and they're able to sustain life by themselves, they're able to sustain life, then by definition, they're obviously a person. Public support for abortion rights has climbed since the Supreme Court's decision to overturn Roe. In November, voters punished Republicans for building the conservative Supreme Court that last year overturned Roe v. Wade, eliminating the constitutional right to an abortion. Despite rampant inflation and Joe Biden's low approval ratings, Democrats defied expectations in November, keeping control of the Senate and limiting Republican gains in the House, where razor-thin majority is already proving to be a challenge. Voters also rejected several efforts to limit abortion access. In Montana, a traditionally conservative western state, voters rejected an initiative related to infants born after attempted abortions that is similar to the one House Republicans were poised to pass on Wednesday. So exactly who they said that, we're gonna fulfill the promise we made to the American people. Who asked for this shit? Who asked for this shit? Yet abortion remains a top concern among conservative Republicans. Ah, gotcha. When you mean the American people, you mean conservatives. Gotcha. Conservative Republican and especially anti-abortion activists alarmed by the backlash to the Supreme Court decision. Both measures are expected to enjoy the full support of Republican of the Republican conference, while Democrats are urging their caucus to vote against them. Yet, the early focus on abortion has given some Republicans in swing districts cause for concern. We learned nothing from the midterms if this is how we're going to operate in the first week. No. You guys want to repeatedly shoot yourselves in the foot. I mean, that's on you. Grumpy Jones, how's it going? Welcome. My conservative Catholic in-laws want this. Sheesh. We learned nothing from the midterms if this is how we're going to operate in the first week. Millions of women across the board were angry over overturning Roe v. Wade. Congresswoman Nancy Mace, a Republican from South Carolina, told reporters on Capitol Hill. Like, imagine now, like, after this is all done, imagine still being a Republican and a woman. Imagine being a woman that supports the Republican Party after they were the ones who effectively said, "Nah, I don't think you're deserving of, like, I don't know, bodily autonomy. I don't think you need the right to self-determination, the right to choose what happens to your body. I don't think you really deserve that." And then, like, still choosing to be a Republican. It's just bizarre. Technically, Republicans do follow the party if GOP wants no red wave. Yeah, I mean, hey, listen, if they want to shoot themselves on the foot, Godspeed. Noting that the bill had little chance of becoming law, she called the move tone deaf and said Republicans were merely paying lip service to, quote, life. To life? Wait, what? Paying lip service to life? What does that even mean? But, okay. I don't know. You mean lip service to the pro-life movement? Okay. If you want to make a difference and reduce the number of abortions with a Democratic-controlled Senate, the number one issue we should be working on is access to birth control. I mean, yeah, there should be universal access to birth control. It's part of healthcare. Funny she should mention that. Again, it's just blowing my mind that this is a Republican woman in the House. Okay. Yeah, so pro-life, they'll kill you for it. True. If you want to make a difference and reduce the number of abortions with a Democrat-controlled Senate, the number one issue we should be working on is access to birth control. I mean, like, full stop. The government has no business. The government has no business restricting what you can and cannot do to your body. The only time the government needs to intervene is to protect your ability to have bodily autonomy. And the other time the government should step in is if the actions you are taking hurt other people, right? Here's an example. You have every right to literally drink yourself to sleep, to literally drink yourself into oblivion every day in your own home, as much as your heart's content. But you know what you're not allowed to do? Get into a vehicle. You're not allowed to drive while you're drunk. Why? Because then you become a hazard to others. If you want to give yourself, cirrhosis, listen, Godspeed. But if you want to get into a car and now you're putting the life of others in danger, you see where that line kind of steps? That's why we have drunk driving rules or laws and whatnot. Spread it forward, how's it going? So yeah, that's the only time the government really needs to step in, is to A, protect your ability to have bodily autonomy and the right to self-determination. And two, if said actions are going to affect other people, then yeah, no, you can't really do that. Assisted suicide needs federal legalization. Yes, I'm not really against that. Rights and responsibilities actually go together. True. True. Republicans also advanced a non-binding resolution condemning violence against, quote, pro-life facility groups and churches, which drew Democratic opposition because of its failure to address the threats targeting women's healthcare clinics and abortion providers. Right, that's the funny. That's incredibly hilarious that they would condemn or just kind of like, wave their finger at like violence against pro-life facilities, groups, and churches, which is already a crime, and fail to then be like, well, obviously women's healthcare clinics should also be protected, right? Nah, they really didn't want to talk about that. By ignoring these acts of violence, Republicans are sending a very dangerous message that will only embolden the extremists behind them. I agree. Said Congresswoman Deanna DeJette, a Democrat of Colorado and co-chair of the House Pro-Choice Caucus. Speaking on the House floor and ahead of the vote, DeJette urged Republicans instead to adopt a counter-resolution that would condemn acts of political violence in any form. Republicans arguing in favor of the resolution said anti-abortion groups had become the targets of political violence since the Supreme Court's June decision and denounced the Department of Justice response to these attacks as inadequate. This resolution is very simple and its language is clear. Said Jim Sexual Assault Cover-Up Jordan, a Republican of Ohio who has been critical of what he says evidence of political bias within federal law enforcement against anti-abortion groups. It also calls upon the Biden administration to take action now to bring the perpetrators to justice. Well, who could be opposed to that? Do you think that Ukraine will eventually win? I think so, and it looks like that way. I don't see. I think that the Russians are pretty stagnated. To put it bluntly, it ain't going well for him. By the way, I in no way meant that I have any suicidal feelings. I'm just so nobody takes it wrong. No. Yeah, I agree with your statement. I agree that there should be federal legalization, right? Because, like, again, you have the right, you should have the right to self-determinate, to have the right of self-determination. You should choose what happens with your life. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. I think it's more cruel for people who, I don't know, an example would be, an example would be someone who's like terminally ill. An example would be somebody who is terminally ill, I think, should have the ability, again, to choose, to have that right of self-determination. That would be a perfect example. Yeah, people who are suffering and have no chance of recovery should have that option. Right. Yeah, like a terminally ill person. Yes, that would be an example. In a statement, the Senate Majority Leader, Chuck Schumer, affirmed that the bills were doomed in the Senate, where he said Democrats would act as a firewall against his extreme anti-choice MAGA Republican agenda. Nice. Just months after his historically disappointing midterm, the MAGA Republican-controlled House is putting on full display their truly extreme views on women's health with legislation that does not have the support of the American people. Right. Here, Chucky is correct. He's absolutely correct. I don't understand what Republicans are thinking when they say that they're here to fulfill the promises made to the American people. Who? Who asked for this shit? Once again, Republicans are proving how dangerously out of touch they are with mainstream America. I would be careful with that. Because sometimes, the Dems are showing that too. As in Kazakh, it's nice to see. I like Russia, but I don't like when they say that this country never had a statehood or that it's nonsense. I'm not sure. It's just very simple. The facts are pretty... the facts are pretty clear at the moment. It doesn't seem like Russia's moving. It doesn't seem like Russia is capable. It doesn't seem like Russia's capable of going much further. I don't know. We'll see. Nor do I suspect that they can. They marched into Ukraine as a irredentist force. I don't know what that means. It's okay to like the country and its people. It's the leadership there that's the problem. Yeah. I agree with this. Most Russians don't even want the war. Yep. It means they came under the pretense to restore the territory from the Russian Empire. I mean, it seems like there's a couple of different justifications that they have. I mean, it changes. They said they were on a mission to restore, whatever previous Russian Empire borders or whatnot. I don't know. Either way, not good. Not good. Reproductive right activists appear to be on the verge of another political victory this week in Virginia, where abortion was at the center of a closely watched state Senate race. Democrats are projected to have flipped the seat, a result that would probably prevent the state legislature from enacting a 15-week abortion ban backed by the state conservative governor, Glenn Youngkin. Nice. Local elections, state elections matter. Cool. Based Virginia. Nice. Flipping the one state Senate seat to block the Republicans from making headway with this law. Nice. Shifting gears really quickly, former Trump Organization CFO Alan Weisselberg sentenced to 5 months in prison. Alan Weisselberg, the former chief financial officer of the Trump Organization, was sentenced on Tuesday, yesterday, to 5 months behind bars for his role in the company's sweeping 15-year tax fraud scheme, which, of course, we are to believe that Donald Trump had nothing to do with this. Weisselberg, 75, was sentenced in accordance with the guilty plea. An appearance before acting Justice Juan Merchan in New York Criminal Court, and was taken to New York's notorious Rikers Island jail immediately after the proceeding. Yeah, only 5 months. Taking into account the typical amount of time off for good behavior, Weisselberg is likely to serve about 100 days. In other words, maybe 3 months. A little over 3 months. He also paid over $2 million in taxes and penalties that will be on probation for 5 years. As part of his deal with prosecutors, Weisselberg could have faced added time behind bars if he didn't testify truthfully at the trial, which ended with the Trump Organization being convicted of all accounts. No public court filings suggest that Weisselberg's testimony wasn't truthful, and prosecutors didn't ask the judge to revisit the agreed-upon sentence. The people believe that Mr. Weisselberg provided truthful testimony. New York County Assistant District Attorney Susan Hoffinger told the judge he satisfied the conditions of his plea agreement. Weisselberg's lawyer, Nicholas Cravante Jr., said Weisselberg had already paid severely for his crimes. What? Severely? And asked the judge whether he would consider a further reduction in his sentence in some form. Merchan refused. I believe a stiffer sentence might be appropriate having heard the evidence. True, Merchan added, saying that he felt obligated to stick to the deal he agreed to in August. Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg touted Weisselberg's sentence in a statement. In Manhattan, you have to play by the rules no matter who you are or who you work for. Weisselberg was the star witness for the prosecution in the case against the former President Trump's company, describing how top executives and how the company evaded paying taxes they rightfully owed. Trump wasn't charged with any crime. The biggest personal beneficiary of the scheme, prosecutors said, was Weisselberg. He collected $1.76 million in indirect employee compensation, including a rent-free apartment, expensive cars, private school tuition for his grandchildren, and a new furniture. Damn. Other executives received similar perks and were paid bonuses as independent contractors, saving the company money in payroll taxes. Nice. What gets me is that Trump had no knowledge of this. Trump had no hand in this. I mean, I'm sorry, but I'm gonna have to press X to doubt. The real difficult truth. So where is his 1.76 million fine? Ha! He only had to pay $2 million. He paid more. He paid more than he was given. The real difficult truth is that we won't be able to socialize the cat femboys. No communal femboys for the greater good. I don't know what that means. It's impossible for Trump to know. Well, it's impossible for us to know if Trump knew. Right? It's impossible for us to know if Trump knew. But it's like, come on, dude. It's kind of... Let's just put it this way. If it comes out that, like, Trump knew about this whole thing, it wouldn't exactly come as a surprise. Won't lie, this Biden shit is kind of funny and isn't really a good look. I don't know what this is in reference to. As if Trump doesn't insist on signing off on this stuff personally. Yeah, I mean, who knows? Like I said, if we find out, in the next year or whatever, that he had a huge involvement, like, nobody's gonna be surprised Pikachu facing, okay? Gates will, true.
Please clap.
On the witness stand, Weisselberg said Trump did not know about the scheme. Apparently. Weisselberg further testified that he was still on company payroll, adding that while he was removed as CFO after he was charged, his duties and salaries remained substantially the same. Lawyers for the two Trump Organization subsidiaries charged in the case maintained that during the trial that Weisselberg was the lone bad actor and that the companies shouldn't be held responsible. Holy shit. So, like, you know what this feels like? This feels like this was all perfectly set up, and like I would almost, just like as a hypothetical theory, I would almost say that this dude was there for that exact purpose, so that when it did happen, they would immediately point to him, and like that's it, and he would take the L. That's it. That's what it literally sounds like to me. Trump could literally rip off his human suit and go full alien and no one would be surprised. True. Remember Trump says he's a superhero? True, yeah, I need to get those digital trading cards. Oh man, they're sold out though. Odd. Yeah, he took the fall, like, right? And like the fact that like this isn't out of character for Trump either, it just kind of furthers that theory. It's not out of character. It was all over like the January 6th evidence where he was intimidating witnesses. I mean, like, saying things like, oh yeah, Trump wants you to know he's listening or some shit like that. Like some really mob boss shit. What was the other one? Even in the fight for speakership. I mean, like, some mob boss fucking behavior. Wasn't it Matt Gaetz that went up to McCarthy or Marjorie Taylor Greene who went up to McCarthy and was like, Trump wants you to know that you don't have the votes or some shit? Who was it? An American hero? Who's an American hero? Yeah, it's not really relevant who. You're right, Kraylio. It's not really relevant who. The point I'm trying to illustrate is like this kind of like mob boss behavior isn't out of character for him. So, it's not out of the realm of possibility for us to to speculate that like, oh yeah, this guy, it just seems like this dude was put right there to take the L. Because I mean, like, look, the lawyers for the Trump Organization wanted to say that like this dude was the lone bad actor. Don't go after the companies. Don't go after the Trump companies. As if saying like this guy, hey, this is the guy. I mean, that's why he's here. The panel convicted the companies on all 17 counts last month, including conspiracy, criminal tax fraud, and falsifying business records. The companies face up to $1.6 million in fines when they're scheduled to be sentenced on Friday. Yep, they stashed millions in an offshore account for Weisselberg to take his fall, and he's set. Who knows? I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if that ends up being the case. I don't know. The point is, that's what it feels like. The scenario is out of a fucking movie. It's out of a freaking mafia movie. Gravante told reporters as he left the courthouse that Weisselberg regrets the harm his actions have caused the Trump Organization and members of the Trump family. He's grateful for them for their continued support throughout this difficult chapter of his life. He's grateful to them for their continued support. Interesting. Had Weisselberg been convicted, he could have faced up to 15 years in prison. No way. No shot. No shot. Anyways. That is the conclusion of the Trump Organization trial. Well, at least for that guy. This is when, like, Dick Cheney shot his best friend in the face. Yeah. What was the excuse? He didn't see him? Or he thought he... What was the excuse? Grumpy Jones, who's the American hero you never answered? It's a very important question. Oh, okay. He thought his friend was a bird? Ha! They were talking about the Trump cards? Yeah, but Trump isn't an American hero. I don't know where that came from. So at this point, most of you by now know that Representative Katie Porter is running, has announced her candidacy for Senate. I think that's actually pretty good. I think she should run. I think she should run and bring the whiteboard into the Senate. We need whiteboards in the Senate. Also, yeah, we need more snowballs in the Senate. True. Barbara Lee has announced she's also running for Senate. Yes, Feinstein really does need to get out. Representative Barbara Lee has told fellow lawmakers that she's running for Senate in California, according to two sources familiar with the situation. She informed her colleagues in a closed-door Congressional Black Caucus meeting on Wednesday. Asked later about her plans, Lee said in a brief interview she'd officially announce when it's appropriate. Right now, in respect to Senator Feinstein and the floods, and what I'm doing my work, and I'll let them know when I intend to go to the next step, but now it's not the time to talk about that. Lee declined to say whether she'd run against the 89-year-old Feinstein if the California senator chose to run again rather than retire. I'm not really doing anything except letting colleagues know that there will be a time to talk about the Senate race. Lee's decision comes a day after Representative Katie Porter also announced a bid for the seat currently held by Dianne Feinstein. Feinstein's future has been the subject of much speculation by Democrats in recent months, though she's remained publicly non-committal on her plans. It represents a safe Democratic seat for whoever can muscle through a likely crowded primary. I mean, it would be nice. Honestly, either one would be fine by me. If Representative Lee or Representative Porter wins this primary, honestly, it's fine. Lee spoke to Feinstein and Governor Newsom last month about her plans. According to a person familiar with the situation, Feinstein told Lee that she would make a decision soon, but understood Lee would need to plan her own bid. The emerging Senate race is likely to draw from a deep well of ambitious House Democrats, many of whom have been waiting for shots at the statewide office. A leader of the Progressive Caucus, Lee is known as a longtime leader in California politics. Representative Adam Schiff has also signaled his interest in running. Though he hasn't officially announced, Schiff's camp had knocked Porter for announcing amid historic storms and flooding in California, and Schiff used his email fundraising list to raise money for storm relief. That being said, it is wild in California right now. There's set to be, I think, another storm coming. Let me see. Yeah, 5 hours ago. Yeah, finger painting in Congress, true. A storm ravaged California scrambles as fresh atmospheric river rolls in. Another storm. It's just wild. Lee was widely seen as leading the list of potential Feinstein replacements if she were to retire early, and Governor Newsom were to choose a successor. Though there's no indication that Feinstein would do so, the governor vetted Lee when then Senator Kamala Harris, departed for the vice presidency, and he publicly committed to choosing a black woman if he had the chance to make another appointment. While she lacks the fundraising might of Porter and Schiff, Lee is a revered figure in the Oakland-anchored district that she has represented for decades. Her deep Bay Area roots could be an asset given that both Porter and Schiff represent Southern California districts. Some other House members have emerged as potential contenders, but Representative Eric Swalwell isn't expected to seek the seat, and Representative Ro Khanna said that he would defer a decision for a few months. Yeah, I don't know. I think that, like, with Representative Lee and Representative Porter running, I think either one of them winning is a good thing. Definitely a race to keep an eye on. On one hand, the weather is causing dangerous conditions, but it's also bringing a lot of moisture to that area, which is desperately needed. Yes, that is true. That is true. That is very true. Yeah, it does. The whole thing is kind of effed, right? Because, like, on the one hand, historic droughts. This has been a historic drought that's been going on for quite a while. I mean, we've been covering it. Now you've got, like, the complete opposite. It's just like none of this is normal. to say the least. None of this is normal. It's almost like, it's almost like the climate is what do you think the climate is doing? Infinite cliffhanger. Ronna McDaniel admitted to the January 6th committee that she knew of the plan for overturning the election from Trump attorney John Eastman. Damn! Surprise, surprise. Oh man, this just keeps getting better. The chairwoman of the Republican Party, folks. News, I guess? Is this breaking? If not like, obviously this should be to no surprise to nobody, but like the fact that, again, the Republican Party from state all the way to upper levels colluded. It wasn't just like Trump, it wasn't just Trump's campaign, it was the Republican Party engaged in several schemes using a dubious legal framework to shoehorn fake electors in an attempt to overturn these. That's just wild to me. Again, I'll keep saying it. It's just insane that this isn't like the biggest story. What's better is Trump was the one who initiated the call. Jesus Christ. It is just wild to me. Maple Leaf Dragon, how's it going? It is just wild to me. Oh wait, here we go. Look, we don't even listen. Don't listen to me.
Why the ending?
Yields back. The chair recognizes the young woman from Florida, Mrs. Murphy, for an opening statement.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. President Trump's efforts to unlawfully overturn the results of the 2020 election were not limited to the big lie and pressuring state officials and the Department of Justice officials. Another key part of the president's effort was a scheme to assemble fake electors to cast false electoral votes in the states that President Trump lost. This was something done not only with the president's knowledge, but also with his direct participation. Ronna McDaniel, chair of the Republican National Committee, testified before this committee that President Trump and his attorney, Dr. John Eastman, called her and asked her to arrange for the fake electors to meet and rehearse the process of casting their fake votes.
When I received the call, again, I don't remember the exact date.
Wait, let me put this back on normal. Here we are.
It was from the White House switchboard, and it was President Trump who had contacted me.
And did President Trump have anyone else on the line with him?
He introduced me to a gentleman named John Eastman. So I vaguely remember him mentioning that he was a professor, and then essentially he turned the call over to Mr. Eastman, who then proceeded to talk about the importance of the RNC helping the campaign gather these contingent electors in case.
Contingent electors. Huh. That's one way of putting it. Again, it was the RNC. It was the entirety of the Republican Party. Listen, it can't be more explicit than that. It can't be more explicit than that. I don't know what that means. Try again. It's really weird how, like, conservatives, when put, you know, when push comes to shove, when being shown how blatant their party has been when it comes to the complete disregard of democratic, I use that in quotations, democratic norms or even democratic systems, it's weird how they come out of the woodwork. Interesting. Right? Interesting. See, instead of acknowledging the reality, Maple Leaf Dragon, we just get a complete sidestep of you know, a complete sidestep of just like insults. And furthermore, while this is the January 6th committee, this particular section is focusing on Trump's own actions, the Republican Party's own actions, and attempts and schemes to overturn the 2020 election. And they just can't bear, like, they can't bear to hear it. They immediately turn to insults and pivots. It needs to be more explicit because a large portion of the electorate still thinks it's fantasy. Right, but like when presented with the reality, you see how they react, right? Hold on, I'm pretty sure I've seen this username in other chats. Really? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Never seen them before? Oh, whew! I knew it. I've seen this yeah, apparently, yeah, he's very famous. I knew I've seen this username before. I love PosadaBot. Shout out to OG Prodigy. Long rap sheet. True. Anywho.
Any of the legal challenges that were ongoing changed the result of any of the dates.
These fake electors were ultimately part of the president's plan to replace genuine Biden electors with Trump electors on January 6th.
Yeah, January 6th is an easy trigger for some unhinged folks. Oh yeah, clearly we just had a what, maybe a minute, 2-minute clip so far. Not just under 2 minutes, and out of the woodwork, you know, out of the woodwork, the clowns start to show up. I've seen this person before. You know where I recognize them from? I recognize them from the Beckosphere channel. That's where they came from, because I banned them from there too. When I say I'm everywhere, I am literally everywhere, and I remember certain usernames. Like I said, if you come here to troll, you're not gonna have a good time. It's as simple as that. If you're coming here to troll, you're not gonna have a good time. And depending on the mood, you're just gonna get clowned on, okay? So just do yourselves a favor, alright? I'm trying to help you guys, okay? If you're gonna come here to troll, you're gonna have a bad time.
As part of this plan, the false electoral slates were sent to the National Archives and to the Capitol. The fake electors plan was also tied to another plan, the coercive pressure.
You would be a really, really
Vice
good bridge
President
owner,
Mike Pence
true.
Reject or refuse to count
clap.
certain Biden electoral votes so that President Donald Trump would, quote, win re-election instead. Here is what Vice President Pence has said about this scheme.
President Trump said I had the right to overturn the election. But President Trump is wrong. I had no right to overturn the election. The presidency belongs to the American people and the American people alone. And frankly, there is no idea more un-American than the notion that any one person could choose the American president.
So, by definition, Trump is pretty damn un-American.
Make no mistake, President Trump knew that what he was demanding Vice President Pence do was illegal. He was informed of this repeatedly, and specifically on January 4th. Even his lawyer, John Eastman, admitted in front of President Trump that this plan would break the law by violating the Electoral Count Act.
Did John Eastman ever admit, as far as you know, in front of the president, that his proposal would violate the Electoral Count Act?
I believe he did on the 4th.
And Dr. Eastman confirmed this in writing. Recall this email written on January 6, in which Vice President Pence's counsel asked Dr. Eastman, did you advise the president that in your professional judgment, the vice president does not have power to decide things unilaterally? Dr. Eastman replied, he's been so advised. Of course, President Trump's own White House counsel, Pat Cipollone.
The USF definitely needs good child care, starting with the care from any Congress people. True. The only base thing that Pence has done. Yeah, I mean, like, damn, dude. What a bar to set. What a bar to set, right? At the very end. At the very end, choosing to finally find that veneer of principles. I mean, I don't know. It's kind of hard to give him any credit at all, to be quite frank.
Also recognize that this plan was unlawful.
That doesn't mean he's not right. That doesn't mean he's not wrong. I don't know if I worded that right. Pence is right in that scenario, yes.
Here is Mr. Cipollone's testimony.
My view is that the vice president didn't have the legal authority to do anything except what he did.
There is no doubt that President Trump's pressure campaign on Vice President Pence was significant. On the
Pence
morning
didn't
of
just want to
January
go to
6th,
jail, true.
President Trump called the vice president from the Oval Office and demanded that he overturn the results of the election. Numerous witnesses told the Select Committee about the invective that President Trump leveled at his own vice president.
Something to the effect, the wording's wrong. I made the wrong decision 4 or 5 years ago.
And the word that she relayed to that the president called the vice president, I apologize for being impolite, but do you remember what she said her father called him?
The P word.
But Vice President Pence didn't
wait, did
waver
did
even
she
when
say
his
P
own
word?
life was endangered by President Trump and the rioters at the Capitol on January 6th, as you'll see in more detail later. A federal judge concluded, based on this and other
Anyways,
evidence,
I think the point was made for the tangent that we went off. Like the RNC chair, Ronna McDaniel, knew about this shit.
It was from the White House switchboard, and it was from
their fake votes.
When I received the call, again, I don't remember the exact date.
And she was the one that received the call, not made the call. Anywho. All right, let's do a meme article, okay? Pence has the same jelly spine as the rest of them. His spine just happened to be frozen with fear on January 6th, giving enough rigidity to do what he did. True. All right, let's do a meme article. What? Oh. Divisive influencer. That's pretty poor choice of words, but okay. Andrew Tate loses appeal against asset seizures. I think some clown came in here a couple of days ago saying that Tate wasn't in prison. Wow. You get your memes from the AP? Oh yeah, no, this is hilarious. A court in Romania's capital, Bucharest, I don't know, has rejected an appeal made by the divisive social media personality. Oh man, the wording. Andrew Tate against asset seizures by prosecutors who are investigating him on charges of being part of an organized crime group and human trafficking. Yeah, divisive social media personality isn't exactly the way I would characterize this, but okay, sure. Oh, Bucharest. Gotcha. Andrew Tate, a British U.S. citizen who has 4.5 million followers on Twitter, was detained on December 29th in Bucharest, along with his brother Tristan Tate and 2 Romanian women. On Tuesday, a court upheld a judge's December 30th move to extend their arrest from 24 hours to 30 days. In a separate hearing, which happened yesterday, at the Bucharest tribunal, Tate lost an appeal that challenged assets seized by prosecutors, including properties and a fleet of luxury cars. That tweet did not age well, where he was boasting about a bunch of supercars or whatnot. That, that did not... Yikes, that did not age well. Said Ramona Bola, a spokesperson for the Romanian anti-organized crime agency, the DIICOT. The court decided that seizures are legal and the seizures are legal and that the goods remain at our disposal. Prosecutors investigating the case so far have seized 15 luxury cars, 11 in December raids, and 4 last week, at least 7 of which are owned by the Tate brothers. And more than 10 properties and land owned by the companies registered to them. Bola said it's not clear whether any assets seized in December were included in Wednesday's appeal. If prosecutors can prove that Tate's gained money through human trafficking, Bola said that the assets could be used to cover the expenses of the investigation and compensation for the victims. Before the court ruling on Wednesday, Constantine Gligia, one of the lawyers representing Tate, told the media that the asset seizures are disproportional to the charges. What? DIICOT COT has identified 6 victims in the human trafficking case who were subject to acts of physical violence and mental coercion and were sexually exploited by the members of the alleged crime group. The agency said victims were lured by pretense of love and later intimidated, kept under surveillance, and subject to other control tactics while being coerced into performing in pornography that was intended to make money for their alleged prosecutors. This would check out. I mean, there's been videos where he's pretty explicit and almost boasting about this behavior. So, yeah, from riches to prison bars, love to see it. True, especially from somebody like this. Tate, a former professional kickboxer who has reportedly lived in Romania since 2017, has been previously banned from various prominent social media platforms for expressing misogynistic views and hate speech. He was also going like on some weird anti-Semitic stuff. Funny how that always ends up being the thing, right? Let's see if I can find it. I'm trying to figure out where, shoot, I can't. Did he get yeeted off of Twitter as well? Never heard the anti-Semitic stuff. I literally just saw it on a tweet. Oh my god. I literally just saw it. He retweeted some weird stuff. Some sussy stuff. Not today, obviously, but it was very recent. I should have screenshotted it. Well, oh, wait, I found his Twitter. Hold on, I found his Twitter. F-bombs is an idiot and uses 5 your logic when it comes to anti-Semitism. Wait, who's F-bombs? Oh, F-bombs is a Twitch user? Oh. Oh, he's a streamer? It seems every generation's great revolutionaries suffer from unfair imprisonment, Andrew Tate. I was telling him in world history humans have been crossbreeding since the start of human history and he banned me. Damn, dude. Oh, here it is. Yeah. This is the kind of stuff that he's retweeting. He retweeted this. Reminder that Vice is owned by 44%. Is owned 44% by the WEF member Soros. Yeah. Georgie? I guess George? I don't know. Yeah, this is some anti-Semitic dog whistles that he's essentially boosting. This is him right here. I knew I saw this somewhere. Just had to take me a second to pull it up. So, yeah, just casually, you know, retweeting the classic anti-Semitic tropes, you know? Kinda sussy. Also, the fact that somebody like Aiden is also... Yeah, I don't know. Cringe. Anyway, so yeah, that's what I was saying. When I remember catching this, I should have just screenshotted it. Yeah, this is pretty suspect, folks. Now that I'm rereading your comment, yeah, there is no logic to the anti-Semitism. So of course, when you hear these arguments, I mean, they just don't make sense. Anywho, That's where I got that idea from. Tate, a former blah 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 blah. Yep, there we are. Get fucked. I hope he gets what he deserves. Honestly. But there is a trend to stop and make tribalism illegal to make NAFTA a real powerhouse. What? Right. What? NAFTA? What does it have to do with anything? What? I wish that made sense. Anywho, is this not a meme? Maple Leaf Dragon? Is this not like meme material right here? Is this not perfectly meme material? Pretty much. All right. Switching gears. Now we got that out of the way. Governor Newsom. We were on the right path, and then you do this. Facing a projected 22.5 billion budget deficit in the upcoming fiscal year. Climate change is a myth? No, it's not. I'm sorry. Listen, with all peace and love, if you don't have evidence to make that, to back that statement, that's an easy one. So, if you're gonna make this claim, you better have some evidence behind it, right? You're gonna have some evidence behind that claim. You were just saying something about 5-year-old logic. I assume that you have evidence to the contrary of the consensus of tens of thousands of climate scientists across the planet. I'm sure that you're going to dig up for me the silver bullet that goes against them all. Right? Whoa! Left Flank Vets, welcome. Welcome, 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 everybody. Folks! Pavios with the 69 biddies. Welcome, folks. Thank you so much to Left Flank Vets for raiding in. If you guys have never seen this channel before, and you guys want to support the content, and you want to continue to further assist in this channel's growth, do what many of you guys are doing right now, and hitting that follow button. Lawbrarian, thank you for the follow. You get a bunch of free emotes too. Duke as well, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Welcome, folks. If you guys also haven't done so, please consider. Hey, whoa, what happened here? Please consider supporting twitch.tv/leftflankvets. Make sure you go follow. Make sure you go support them. Go on the Twitters and support support them there too. Check them out. Marcus does some great, fantastic content. So please consider checking them out. Twitch.tv/leftflankvets. Thank you guys. I hope you guys enjoy your stay. And yeah, let's continue on with the normal news. Thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. The simple logic goes like this. Al Gore screams about climate change and raising ocean waters. Well, what does he do? He buys ocean. This makes no sense. Talk about like 5-year-old logic. This makes absolute no sense. And this doesn't prove your previous claim about climate change being a myth. This is just some 5-year-old logic. Come on. This is just some 5-year-old logic. Pavlov, thank you so much for the biddies. I appreciate that. S.V. Harkin, how's it going? Pollen Cakes, welcome. Smatty, Smat, welcome. He would buy Inland Mansion if he knew to be... Why are you focused on Al Gore? I asked for evidence, for real hard evidence. If you can't prove your claim, then why should anybody listen to you? This is child's logic. Inachu. This is the logic tree of a 5-year-old. You're making zero sense. Climate change is a myth because Al Gore didn't buy inland property. This makes absolutely no sense. Try again. Evidence. You know what evidence is, right? Evidence are studies and data to point to a presumable conclusion, right? That's what we use it for. I don't care what Al Gore says. I don't care what Al Gore did or didn't do or says or doesn't say. I need evidence. Inachu, you made the claim that climate change is a myth. So far, the only thing you were capable of bringing up, which is absolute clown logic, was Al Gore decided to buy beachfront property, so therefore climate change is nope, sorry, I can't do this. Sorry, come back with actual studies or something. I don't know, or don't. Fuck off. This is unbelievable. So, chat. The logic behind the statement "climate change is a myth" by backing it up with saying something like, "Oh, well, somebody bought a beachfront property, so therefore it's a myth." It's obviously nonsense. Okay, it's obviously nonsense. You don't know. You know what speaks louder than anything, Inachu? Evidence. You know what speaks louder than anything? Evidence, because anybody can say words and anybody can do anything. Okay? Climate change is not a myth, and knowing that, I would buy beachfront property. True. Rich people do waste money on less. True. It doesn't make any sense. Along with the same logic as, look, I have a snowball. It's summer. Damn. Checkmate. That's actually a pretty good analogy. Thank you, Maple Leaf. This is on the same basis as like bringing in that clown that brought in, the Republican clown that brought in a snowball to Congress or to the Senate and was like, look, climate change isn't real. 'Cause snow. Yeah. This is a level of anti-intellectualism that I just cannot deal with. If I ask for evidence to a claim, especially a claim such a bold claim as that, you better give me something other than, well, rich person decided to buy beachfront property instead of inland, so therefore it's a myth. Nah. In Afi, he did it in February, which is the snowiest month in DC. True. Got him. Quantifiable measurements. Exactly. I need something that could... I mean, who knows? Maybe somebody out there has a silver bullet to that goes against the entirety of... the entirety and consensus of the climate scientists. I mean, it's only like, what was the IPCC report? It was like 12 to 14,000 people worked on this from different areas of the world. Yeah, I'm sure that this one random person on the internet has the silver bullet that goes against all of that. I'm sure. Carbon levels and temperature correlations. Yep. Exactly. Information, data, something that can say, okay, well, this is where we're going. Also, there are other people who know about climate change besides Al Gore. True. Right. It just makes no sense. I asked for simple evidence to back up that claim because it's a wild and ludicrous claim. So I imagined I was going to get some kind of groundbreaking paper or something. Nope. Al Gore. Nah, fuck off. I don't have time for this anti-intellectual shit. If you're going to complain about like 5-year-old logic and then deploy said 5-year-old logic, like, nah. Anyways. Speaking of which, as I was trying to get into this, Newsom, facing a projected $22.5 billion budget deficit in the upcoming fiscal year, announced that plans to reduce investment in the state's move to zero-emission vehicles and delay funding for 20,000 new childcare slots as California transitions from a time of economic surplus to shortage. The governor's administration blamed high inflation and the Federal Reserve raising interest rates and volatility in the stock market as major forces causing the state revenue to drop well below projections from last summer, when he anticipated a $100 billion surplus in the current budget year. His $297 billion budget plan for 2023 to 24 relies on delaying the multi-year investments and shifting fundings to bonds to offset the shortfall. Newsom said he was careful to preserve the state's rainy day fund and budgetary reserves given the warnings about a nationwide recession and possibility that California's financial problems could become more dire in the months and years ahead. I mean, as opposed to the financial problems that could become dire in the future, we're seeing it. How many billions is this wave of storms going to cost? How many billions did the wave of wildfires cause? I'm just saying. That makes us very mindful of the uncertainty of this next calendar year, and as a consequence of that, we're not touching the reserves because we have a wait-and-see approach to this budget. Newsom added, saying that he felt that California would be better positioned than most other states to weather what's to come. The governor's January budget proposal serves as a starting point for months of negotiations at the state capitol as he advocates to push for money for their causes, and leaders of the Assembly and Senate push their spending priorities. More consequential budget decisions will come in May when Newsom will issue a revised budget. That spending plan will be reflected updated economic forecasts and launch more intense negotiations ahead of the June 15th deadline for the legislature to pass a final state budget for the next fiscal year. The annual ritual will play out, and amid political headwinds that could make negotiations more difficult, the switch in Washington from a Democratic to a Republican-controlled House that will likely seek to slash federal spending, and turnover in Sacramento that makes the current legislature inexperienced and unpredictable, with about 1/3 of lawmakers newly elected. Of course, he attacks the emotionally charged issues like kids and climate. He's an asswipe, true. So inflation, like unnecessary corporate price hikes, and the Fed unnecessarily raising interest rates to put the economy in a recession. True, that's his main priority. His main priority. And of course, the first things that get cut are incredibly important things like, things for kids and the climate. Newsom downplayed the effect of change in Congress on the state, but said GOP control would slow progress that President Biden made with former Speaker Pelosi. What does it have to do with it? Okay. I'm not naive about the obsessiveness of the Republican leaders and our leadership around all things California, so we're mindful and we've got to step our game up in terms of defending our values and defending our progress. Okay, but so then why? Okay, whatever. This makes no sense from Governor Newsom. Newsom's proposal marks the first time the Democratic governor has been forced to consider major reductions in his January budget proposal since taking office in 2019. His first budget topped $214 billion and broke records as the largest in state history, though his administration feared the COVID-19 pandemic would force California off a fiscal cliff the following year. Positive economic trends and revenue growth largely continued throughout his first term. The flush state revenues allowed Newsom to pass a progressive wish list of policies to boost the safety net, such as plan to expand Medi-Cal eligibility to all low-income immigrants, provide free preschool for all 4-year-olds, and offer an additional 2 weeks of paid family leave. The governors and Democratic legislators sprinkled gas refunds and stimulus payments to Californians and still had enough funding to stash away for the economic downturn. So why not use part of that to invest in the future? It just doesn't make any sense. It's almost like the problem is, checks notes, capitalism. Shh. That's an inconvenient truth, folks.
Please clap.
When Mother Nature blesses us with rain, we need to save the water instead of dumping it out into the ocean. What? But okay. This is nothing to do with money. Yeah, he's just going to blame the Republicans. Now facing a possibility of a revenue crisis, the governor repeatedly describes the state budget as a statement of values as being forced to make difficult decisions about what he truly stands for. He promised no defeatist attitude in the light of potential recession and left many of his marquee policies unchanged in his proposal, though he warned that deeper cuts could be coming in May. Austerity is coming, as someone pointed out in chat. Newsom said homelessness remains a state top priority and proposed an additional $1 billion for a total of $15.3 billion in funding since the pandemic started. He rejected arguments that more investment were needed to implement some of his sweeping plans, including community assistance, recovery and empowerment, or the CARES court. This is life and death. People are dying in the street in the name of compassion and these stale arguments, Newsom said regarding the claims that counties need more money for care court. Unprecedented support. I want to see unprecedented progress. The budget plan includes a $350 million decrease in funding for 2 programs to help first-time buyers afford homes and to support building accessory dwelling units. The reductions are part of the trigger cuts in Newsom's proposal that would be restored next year if there are sufficient funds. The governor said he was hopeful that federal funding would supplant the $6 billion in proposed cuts to climate programs, and he said that those reductions would simply be restored. Would be similarly restored. Newsom made the national headlines in 2020 with an executive order requiring all new cars sold to be zero-emission vehicles by 2035 and argued Tuesday the funding reduction would not affect the state's goal. The markets, the resources, and the investment is following the policy we have firmly established here in California, and I'm really proud of that. Education and anti-poverty advocates largely breathe the sigh of relief and praise Newsom for keeping most of the programs, but are cautiously optimistic. Despite vetoing legislation last year that would have made kindergarten mandatory over cost concerns, but Newsom's budget proposal continues implementing universal transitional kindergarten by 2025 to 2026. An additional $690 million will increase access to the program, a key tenet to its early childhood goals. However, some early education experts cast doubt on the Newsom projections. A new report from the Berkeley Children's Forum warns that the universal transitional kindergarten is probably further out than promised, in part due to scarcity of teachers and slow trickle funding to support more classroom space. He's backing away from his original aspirations, said Bruce Filler, an education and public policy professor at UC Berkeley, who pointed to a significant decline in the governor's estimates for how many students the state plans to serve, as well as related classroom infrastructure funding. Yikes. H.D. Palmer, a spokesperson for the Newsom Department of Finance, said those changes are due to factors out of the governor's hands, such as declining enrollment and birth rates. What? Can they convert buildings to schools? I don't know. We're going to fund wherever the enrollment is. It's not a discretionary thing. Tuesday's budget plan includes a modest reduction to base funding for K-12 and community colleges, landing at $108.8 billion. But the childcare industry received a significant blow, with 20,000 new slots for children that would have been funded in 2023 and 2024 instead will be funded for the 2024 to 2025 year. The state's focus shouldn't be on slowing expansion, but on removing existing impediments, because we know that California's poorest families still can't access the quality, affordable childcare that they need. Yikes. Harris blamed the Newsom administration for shortfalls, saying that the delay in funding slots announced on Tuesday is due in part to the state's failure to increase provider pay and attract more workers. State Dems have urged Newsom to protect our progress and avoid cuts to safety net programs like those seen on the downturns under the governor Arnold Schwarzenegger's administration. Newsom's plan includes $900 million in a safety net reserve, account for future padding. There were still disappointments. Immigrant groups slammed the governor for delaying the food benefits to Californians 55 and older residing in the state legally, a promise announced last year until 2027. Sheesh. The delay means that immigrant communities in California who are hurting right now face a skyrocketing price of food and will continue to experience exacerbated hunger and hardship. Yeah. Newsom maintained that state funding to offer healthcare coverage to all eligible low-income Californians, regardless of immigration status. Among the biggest changes in health is a proposal to renew an expired tax on managed care organizations or a health insurance plan known as the MCO tax to generate $1.3 billion next year for the Medi-Cal expansion. The proposal will require support from 2/3 of state lawmakers, with healthcare groups poised to battle over the details of how the money is spent. Dustin Corcoran, the chief executive of California Medical Assignment, applauded the governor's work to expand Medi-Cal to more people and provide coverage for more benefits. Its organization has been pushing the state to increase reimbursement rates to providers for years. We keep covering more people and we keep providing more benefits, but we put no money into making sure people can get access. Newsom and Democrats anticipated the possibility of a budget shortfall last year and were careful to restrict much of the money in the current budget for new programs to one-time funding. Chris Hoyne, executive director of the California Budget and Policy Center, said one-time projects are an obvious place to make cuts, but those effects will still be felt across California. That sounds smart, but those commitments largely sit in two categories: infrastructure funding and one-time expansion of social services programs and ways to provide aid to people who can't afford to live here as easily. It might sound like a good budget practice, but those are real implications. Yep. Cool. Nice. Nice job, Newsom. Unreal. Also, just as a really quick update, apparently George Santos will not resign, even though he's being called to resign. Good memes. True. Hey, Memo, how's it going? Free paycheck. Why resign? 2 years. True. I heard McCarthy is allowing him to be on committees. Damn. Wow. Easy money. Also, hi. Howdy. How's it going? Hope you're doing all right. Ah, they need his vote. Is that why they're willing to overlook pretty much, pretty much everything? From top to bottom, this guy is just like a one big con. Right, better an R than a D, I guess. Yeah, I guess in their mindset, that's how they think of it. George said he fooled you fair and square, no backseats. True. I want to know what billionaire funded him. Maybe that's why McCarthy can't say no. Yeah. When compare something, you use then, all other cases then. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I see what you're saying. I was confused for a second. I'm like, what? What are you talking about, Memo? My inner English teacher can't help but correct that. It's okay. I completely washed over this. All right, we've got one more.
Humana's all-in-one Medicare Advantage plans include coverage for hospital stays, doctor visits, and prescription.
What's going on in the House? They passed a rules package. The hilarity of the whole thing is the holdouts were like, we're draining the swamp. We want to make this all transparent. We don't even know what deals McCarthy cut with these 20. There is some stuff that is obvious in the rules package that is out there. The Holman Rule exists, which allows lawmakers to use spending bills to fund specific programs and fire federal officials or reduce their pay. Now, again, none of this is going to function as is because they're going to have to pass all these bills through the Senate. But it's setting up stuff in the event that the Republicans retain the House and pick up.
Wait, what? I love that one person can recall the speaker and now a Dem is planning to recall McCarthy. No. No. That's hilarious.
Up the Senate next time. This is going to exist. And it is creating tools that are going to empower really the heart of the Republican Party. And presumably, Democrats get control of the House, they reverse these rules.
Oh, the recaller needs to be in the majority party? Oh, is that... Did they specifically, like, write it that way so that the more extremist Republicans can just kind of, like, recall McCarthy? Sam said something about it? Gotcha. What? Yeah, to control McCarthy. There you go. Wait a minute. No. No, hold on. The recall vote needs to be a simple majority at the end of the day, but any member of Congress can bring a motion to vacate. So any member of Congress can bring a motion to vacate, but a majority, a simple majority, would need to be the one. Unless, I don't know, maybe the final rule. Under the new rules that are passed on Monday, only one member of Congress, Democrat or Republican, is needed to bring a motion to vacate, which forces a vote to remove the speaker. But that would need only a simple majority of the House. Okay, so I think Under the new adopted rule, any single member of the House could offer a privilege resolution declaring the office of the Speaker vacant. The term privilege here refers to a matter that is precedent over the regular House business, meaning it's more urgent and must be brought to the House floor for a vote. This is not confined to Republican members. Democrats could make the motion to vacate as well. In theory, a small group of Republicans who want to force out the Speaker could work with Democrats to reach the votes they need to remove the Speaker. Huh. So, yeah, it's basically a threat. It's basically to keep McCarthy in check. I mean, unless this is wrong. But yeah, if the Democratic what? No, if you do something that the Automat doesn't like, then it will, you know. So if it is true that a Democrat is going to make a motion to vacate, that would be hilarious. Democrats like Sinema, and Manchin. I mean, maybe, but well, no. Manchin is in the Senate. Manchin and Sinema are in the Senate. Who would be the Democratic House member to make this motion? I don't know. Either way, that would be. I want to see. I want to see this. Here. The criminal element. Thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. I predict Katie Porter, she leaves for the Senate race. That would be hilarious. The squad should do it repeatedly. That would also be hilarious. Every member of the squad should take turns filing the motion to vacate. That would be some good memes. That would be some good memes. Although this speaker vote showed how useless the squad actually is in using their position to help people when they had the chance. Well,
but even still, with a guy like Hakeem Jeffries, you know, what they can sometimes do is we're going to reverse 2/3 of it.
And keep what we like.
Yeah. It was just there. And because, who's going to be paying attention to this? Yeah. Nobody. It makes it harder for lawmakers to raise the debt limit, which is a fake thing more or less anyways. We should mint the goddamn platinum coin and get over with this. We're done. It creates a new select subcommittee under the Judiciary Committee focused on the weaponization of the federal government, which, again, I'm not sure if that is as church committee sounding as we.
If the House was in disarray like that on January 6th, that might have been an issue. Yeah, that might have been. McCarthy agreed to these ridiculous new rules and may be replaced very soon. What? Raise your hand if you have read at least one part 1 of the 6 of the church committee reports. What? Can I get a TLDR on that? What is that? Is that what Sam's referencing?
We hope it would be.
Wouldn't hold my breath.
I wouldn't hold your breath either. But there's hope. Hope springs eternal. Steve Scalise, David Duke without the baggage, he says. Bills appear by dark of night. Bills that nobody's read are thousands of pages long. Today starts
It's a
that
select
process
committee to investigate
of fixing
the
what's broken
intelligence in
Washington.
1975. Sheesh.
The only problem is the full extent of the concessions that McCarthy has made, we don't know because it was all done with a handshake in a back room.
Big Papa Fash? Really? If you're gonna come here to Chol, you're gonna have a bad time. This was your warning. No, not a Chol, sir? Okay. I read book 1 on stream back in the day. Huh. Research and until this committee was pursuant to law one blah blah. Jeez. So is this like a recent thing? N 1975? Okay. I enjoy checking out suffering Twitch channels. True, dude. True. True, dude. Look at all the suffering around you. Around here. That's very true. Yeah, sure. You mean different. Yeah, sure, dude. True. True. Like I said, if you're gonna come here and troll, you're just gonna have a really bad time. It's not gonna work here.
So that's all hidden.
Honestly, we'll see.
Allow the party's right wing a critical block of seats on the panel that decides which bills can be considered on the House floor and which amendments may be offered. That, again, was done in a handshake deal, side deal that we don't know. We don't know anything about. Here is Ilhan Omar responding to some of this. She is she's asked by the host on MSNBC, Richard Liu, about her thoughts about being kicked off of her committee assignments, like Kevin McCarthy has been going around saying that she will be. She thinks it would be pretty ridiculous if the only person who grew up in Africa was kicked off the African subcommittee of the Foreign Relations Committee, but wouldn't put it past him. But then goes on to start talking about some of these reforms.
Certainly was getting a lot of folks confronting him from both sides of the aisle during the entire process of 15 votes. One of those, hello, and maybe not hello, was with you. And there's that picture that you're so aware of at the moment. And he was talking with a lot of different representatives during those 15 votes. During this moment, what was he saying to you?
That was a good photo, by the way. But mostly based on my name. Well, then why would you call yourself Big Papa Fash? You know, after Big Papa Fascist, a fascist? And then your surprise Pikachu face that you get insta ban? Like, what is the purpose? What is the point of having a name like that? Why is that psychopath not in jail? Who knows? They got his buddy. They got his buddy.
Well, I have to say that photo was a whole mood.
Yeah, it was.
We, certainly got the opportunity, I think, in those long 4 days to have conversations to get an insight on what some of the holdouts on the Republican side in regards to the speaker vote were thinking about the things that they were negotiating for and how ultimately the vote will shake out.
I don't think fascism is funny. It's just memes, bro.
Out. And one of the conversations Matt and I had was about what it would take for him to actually cast a yes vote for McCarthy. And he said that wouldn't happen. And it certainly did not happen. So.
Was he saying that, did he give you a list of more things, or was he saying we had everything right now and we're just holding out? Was there any sort of specificity that you can share with us?
I mean, he certainly was going through the list of the things. Some obviously seemed like they were already on the table and negotiated for before we even got there. And he certainly didn't seem that there was more on a list that would actually get him to vote yes. And we certainly discussed some of the things on the list that, that we can be excited about. And so we'll see if that rules package comes to fruition and what that would mean for those of us in the minority. Obviously, cuts to the Pentagon budget is pretty exciting for folks like me who are putting up amendments to do so. I also think the church-style committee that they are thinking about to look into if there has been any violations of First Amendment rights of Americans by the FBI and others also interests me. So we'll see what ends up happening and if the Republicans are able to actually be able to get anything done. If the last 4 days...
Now, this isn't scientific, but I did a poll around New York, and what people believed about the Constitution shocked me.
I think the U.S. is a crypto-fascist country. Absolutely. Already. Period.
I think it needs to be amended. I mean, the founding fathers did not envision certain things like guns.
I'm not a huge fan of the idea that people think they're more protected because they're carrying a gun.
The strict constitutionalists who believe that we should only look at it exactly as it was written in 1776 are...
Is that what he's actually saying?
Misguided philosophy.
Is a testament of what we are to see. It's probably going to be more.
Yeah, it's the Epic Times. It's the Epic Times. You can't really
chaos.
Take them seriously.
Yeah, I mean, that's the point, is that it would be great to have a real examination of all elements of our national security state, without a doubt. And I would love to see 75 billion, 150 billion, 250 billion cut from the defense budget. Well, I mean, I would keep going. I think we could probably do okay with 400 billion. Let's just start with halving it. And then we could start to have a negotiation from there as to where we go. I wouldn't hold your breath. Because at the end of the day, the Republican Party is still the Republican Party. The first thing that they passed, the first piece of legislation was to cut funding from the IRS. Now, we know this is simply fact. Because there was a lot of numbnuts out there sort of like talking about you don't want to give more money to the IRS because they audit poor people. Well, I don't know what they were saying. Maybe at higher rates, they don't, higher rates. But they, relatively speaking to millionaires over the past 10 years, relatively speaking, the rate of audits of people like getting their earned income tax credit has gone up relative to the rates of millionaires. Still, they're auditing millionaires more. But there has been an increase in which they're looking at low-income people. That is directly correlated.
True. Cut the defense budget by 2/3 and invest in infrastructure. Damn.
With the defunding that has taken place with the IRS over the past 10 years. Directly correlated. The more money they have, the more money they can go after the big fish. Because it's more expensive to go after the big fish because the big fish have lawyers and accountants who make it much harder and far more complicated finances that make it much harder to audit. But there's more money there. So the reason why the Republican Party cuts the funding of the IRS when they come into power is not because they really care about poor people.
Amazing. That needs to be said.
I mean, I feel like I don't know how much evidence you need to support that conclusion.
Right. It's pretty obvious what the deal is here, right? The deal is that they want to hamstring the IRS, to gut it or abolish it, because they want to protect the rich. That's it. Sure, we could have high-speed rail, but instead we just bomb brown people. Yep.
But the reason why they do it is because they want to keep the IRS from auditing rich people. Now, it's not going to go anywhere. That bill's not going to go anywhere, but it shows you what their agenda is. Here is another example of what their agenda is going to be. This is Representative Michael Waltz, Republican from Florida. Yeah, cut defense. But let me tell you where the real money is.
Now, Congressman, should military spending cuts be on the table and put on the table by a Republican?
Well, look, I agree with Jim Jordan that we are going to carve out woke policies out of the military. We are going to look.
Pause for 1 second. Wait. So the stuff that we're going to cut out of the military are going to be the woke stuff.
Yeah.
They're spending so much money on those rainbow flags and all those books about Reconstruction, where they give every single member of the military a Eric Foner anthology. Once they roll that back, we'll have some big cuts.
Yeah, I didn't.
Just be clear again. Now we've gone from cuts to the military to cut out the woke stuff.
They should probably take Robin DiAngelo's generalship away from her too.
Exactly. All right, but go back to the beginning here, because understand this is the game, right? This is the game that they play, and people who buy into this game are suckers. They're
GOP says cuts to healthcare and spending to keep the military strong. True, that makes perfect sense. Major cities already have decent rail systems. What? Wait. What? That's just categorically false. Major cities, not all major cities have decent rail systems. Not all major cities have any rail systems at all. Yeah, you've never also been to Miami or Fort Lauderdale, like the big major South Florida cities. Yeah, you're just delusional.
Suckers. Or they think you're a sucker.
Or any city in Cali.
Should military spending cuts be on the table and put on the table by a Republican?
No, it doesn't even have a great bus transit system either. You're just wrong, dude. I used to live there. No, it doesn't. I used to live there.
Well, look, I agree with Jim Jordan that we are going to carve out woke policies out of the military. We are going to look at the out-of-whack ratio of generals. I invite him to come on the Armed Services Committee and work with us on that. But Stu, and by the way, I'm all for a balance.
Yeah, literally no American city has a good public transport system. True. Just because you've lived there doesn't mean you're familiar with the bus transit system. Yes, I am. I've used it before. What are you on about? I didn't... Okay. Then you should know it's pretty good and rated fairly high. No, it's not. Oh, you have a link. Sure, send it to me in DMs. Sure. Miami ranks 20th when it came to accessibility and convenience. Miami ranked higher than Phoenix. Let's try this again. Maybe you'll listen to instructions. Send it to me via DMs.
Budget. We've got to get spending under control, but we are not going to do it on the backs of our troops and our military. When at the same time we're talking about China is the greatest threat. We're going to have a select committee on China. They're tripling their nuclear arsenal. Iran is racing towards a nuke. North Korea is about to launch an ICBM. Russia is on the march. And oh, by the way, we still have a global terrorist state now in Afghanistan, thanks to Joe Biden. So this is, I mean,
I'm sorry, can somebody unban Acolicorn? Hold on. Friendly Fire, can you please, Michael Hassler, can you unban them? Oh, shoot. Hold on, I think I can do it right here. Oi! Removed ban. Yes! Alright. There we go.
We can work on prioritizing defense spending, but that's really nibbling around the margins. Okay. If we really want to talk about the debt and spending, it's the entitlements program. That's
the entitlements program
of our entire budget. That 1.7 trillion and defense within that is only 30%. So if we want to talk about big reforms, I look forward to hearing that from those folks who are pushing towards the balanced budget.
There are three things that constitute entitlements, so-called entitlements.
I hate that. Whoa! Damn it.
Roommates was a
I hate that framing.
What's going on in the house? I wouldn't hold your breath because it's more expensive to go after the big fish.
Military have a select, then that is a balanced budget.
End of story. Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security. Program that keeps 2/3 of our elderly out of poverty. Program that, at least in most states in the country, Medicaid will cover people up to 133% of poverty, make sure they get health care. Medicare, making sure that our elderly have health care and are not broke.
How many
In fact, Medicare now,
Congress actually lowered
as
spending?
of
None.
just 2 or 3 days ago, every recipient on Medicare who requires insulin, their cost of that insulin is capped at $35 a month. And I can tell you, insulin has been far more expensive than that. I buy it for my freaking cats, and they're sadly not on Medicare. Each little tiny ball costs like $300.
Jesus.
That's what they're coming for. And
F your balanced budget. True.
And
it's
to the
not a
extent
regular checkbook.
That
like, why do people think that like the government works like a regular? I don't know. The GOP is a death cult. True. The MBTA is reeling from a massive drop in riders, but financial crisis sparked by the pandemic didn't derail pay perks for many. The executive state payroll records reviewed by the NBC 10 investigators show the struggling public transit agency paid more than $162,000 in bonuses. Sheesh. The high-ranking managers last year.
Democrats can have a tendency, in some instances, to be complicit with those calls for cutting. To the extent
like
that
you said,
it happens,
just make the coin and be done with it. True,
happens,
Sam is correct.
Happened under the Obama administration in 2010. It usually happens where Republicans hold the country hostage and Democrats capitulate.
Correct, by
now, I don't know that they're going to do that this time. It is a different Democratic Party than it was in 2010. Different Democratic Party than it was in 2004. Not dramatically different, but different enough. And the Republicans are going to use the debt ceiling to try and cut Social Security and Medicare. And this is where people have to really pay attention and get on their representatives and on their senators and say, we're watching you, and you cannot give in to these type of hostage demands. They should have fixed this debt ceiling in December. I know that Joe Manchin, again, we had a Joe Manchin problem and whatnot. I didn't see Biden exert any effort on this, but maybe, he didn't do very well exerting effort on Joe Manchin for Build Back Better anyway, so who knows? But this is where, people are going to have to get involved and pay attention.
Yes, but also, like, we can't just exactly be so naive. We can't be so naive. In Massachusetts, my senators never would.
Like always, are coming for your Social Security. They are coming for your retirement. They are coming for the health care that we give to seniors. They're coming for the health care that we give to people living within 133% of poverty and less.
That doesn't matter. Money isn't real. True.
Social Security, disability, they're coming for it. That's where the money is. And they're coming for it. So pay attention to that. Someone just...
Let's get that $75 billion worth of wokeness out of the military.
Yeah, let's get that wokeness out.
True. They're probably understaffing the transit, but I don't want a sleepy bus driver. True. Well, we got through everything, folks. We did it. We got through everything. Folks, if you enjoy the content and you want to help support this channel, hit the follow button on your way out. It really does help us. And if you guys want to do a step and above, Border 2024, yes. She and Barbara Lee, as we were talking earlier, Barbara Lee announced that she's going to throw her hat in the ring. Honestly, Barbara Lee or Katie Porter in the Senate would be phenomenal. Over Dianne Feinstein. 100%. Over Dianne Feinstein, and either one is a-okay for me. I'm perfectly fine either way. Feinstein won't even be alive. I don't know. But she hasn't committed to, but possibly stepping down. Katie Porter's great, yes. A dead cat is an improvement. Aw, a dead cat is an improvement over Dianne Feinstein. Yes, literally any person that's in Congress with a slightly more progressive politics is better than Dianne Feinstein. But yes, it is sad but true. Yes. We'll keep an eye out. I could literally not remember a time before Feinstein was one of my senators, and I'm in my 50s. Yeah, she's been in office for too long. So we'll keep an eye out on that race. Surely it's going to be a competitive primary. And, well, I mean, there's going to be plenty of folks who are going to throw their hat in the ring. But it seemed like the bigger fish in this one is going to be Barbara Lee and Katie Porter. Neuropsych testing and dark triad testing for all congresspersons. Oh man, then most of them would be out.
Please clap.
All right, folks, I got to get going. It's about to be 8 o'clock in a few minutes, so I do have to get going. I do appreciate it. As I was saying, if you guys enjoy the content and want to help out, hit the follow button on your way out. You get 6 free emotes, including 2 cat emotes, so you can add that to on top of your left flank vet cat emotes. So you just keep collecting these cat emotes around the lefty channels, and that's free. If you want to go a step above, head on over to our YouTube channel, hit the big red subscribe button, and spread the word far and wide. We're here Monday through Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. We do the news, we do the politics, so join us. We'll be here. Today is Wednesday, so we'll be here tomorrow. There you go. SV Harkin has plenty. Sachap, Bakita. There goes Winston. Gremlo. And Central Committee's cat. There you go. One's a gremlin. There we go. Thank you. See ya in the next one. Yep, tomorrow, 5 p.m. Again, spread the word far and wide. I appreciate you guys hanging out. Thank you for the support. Thank you for the follows. Thank you for the biddies and subs and all that awesome stuff. You guys are what makes this go. I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you for your support. As always, please stay safe. Please take care of each other. I love you all, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. 5 p.m. Eastern Time tomorrow. Okay? See ya. Hang tight, everybody. We're going to Hildebeest, one of Twitch's hardest working mods. Fantastic channel, by the way. Let's get ready to show some love to twitch.tv/Hilda_Beast. Let's go, everybody. Hang tight. We're heading out in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. See ya.